Alright, so testing out this new improved Flamethrower against hard mode Bjorn. Gonna start it off with one of the strongest fighting builds, the Knocklem build. Not gonna do the Vixen build because it doesn't add any extra fire damage, it's just still fire, so there's no real benefit to that build. So the thing with the Flamethrower against Bjorn is it's gonna deal super effective damage. So probably close to the laser rifle or Gatling gun kind of DPS against Bjorn. So it's been improved quite a bit. It's probably not as strong as using like a multi-guided or the plasma or something like that, but it could be fun to try it out. Deals quite low damage to these Feybreak warriors to start. Gonna have to finish them off. They deal like a little bit of knockback as well, so it can be pretty bad if your pal has to deal with them throughout the fight. Getting knocked down when it's about to do rock burst and stuff just reduces the healing it can do. We want to clear those out pretty quickly. Now this is not going to be a sort of speedrun attempt, this is just testing the weapon. That Frost Talon skill has been fixed as well. Before it would just get interrupted if you attacked it, but it seems to have been fixed. So you're going to have to probably dodge twice depending on your positioning. First the Ice Path and then the Frost Talon itself. Big rock burst to hit there. So about the Flamethrower, like first impressions today, I've used it a bit on the oil rig. To pretty good effect, very similar to rocket launcher, just you need to sort of group up the NPCs. Rocket launcher can deal a little bit better if they get spread out. But otherwise it seems fine for that. Usually I just ignore the NPCs, but you can also like aggro the entire oil rig, drag them to one or two spots on it and just finish them all off, and you won't have to deal with NPCs at all. So you slow down while shooting is one of the first things I can mention. So you can't just hold down the shoot button against hard mode Bjorn and spin in circles. You will need to dodge some skills eventually. I'm using the 3 resistance rings. Ice, dark and water I think are its most common skills. If you even use something else than that. But if you're wearing those 3 rings you are pretty tanky. And then the pal is gonna take some aggro as well, since you're not really doing a huge amount of damage. They seem to have fixed some stuff with the partner skills as well, so the Steel Guardian mode is a little bit easier to activate now. But you can see that the DPS, like if we're comparing to the multi-guided, it's just not quite there. Just since like in flat DPS numbers it's not there, and then with the multi-guided you can have a lot higher uptime when you're shooting. With this one you will need to stop shooting every now and then just to dodge. Can be a little bit tricky to get the timing right with it if you want to shoot for as long as possible. You can see that the Knocklem is kind of going down. It's a little bit RNG based, what skills Bjorn decides to use. Sometimes the pal gets like stunned for a second, it can get frozen. All these things affect like if it heals from a big rock burst or not. So you can have some good luck and some bad luck. Then you can shoot this through the pillar as well, but a lot of Bjorn skills go through the pillar as well. So it's a bit of a give and take, because usually you can just dodge them all pretty easily if you can see them. If you stand behind a pillar, you can't see what skill he's gonna use, it can become a little bit trickier. Overall, pretty low DPS so far. 6.5 minutes left on the clock. It's not a super fun weapon to use like this. I guess we do get the burn effect as well, which is nice. It's not included in the DPS test from earlier today with all the weapons. Like the burn effect, I think it does 1.7% of the total health each time it triggers over like 14 seconds. So it's not a huge amount of damage. It's heavily nerfed against tower bosses. It's a little bit nerfed against like legendary pals and alpha bosses. And then it's very good against like normal NPCs, like the oil rig people, just wild pals overall. It's nice to burn them. So I guess this weapon is better for farming like a lot of enemies at once. It is fun to do it against Bjorn, since it's super effective. It will also be super effective against Lily, Frostallion, stuff like that. But generally this weapon probably has its niche in like in like killing a huge amount of enemies at one time. So probably oil rigs or farming a lot of pals. Probably not Gobfin since it's water. Maybe if you're riding around on a element swap saddle pal to get electric. Not sure if the burn effect will trigger. Don't think so. Against the water pal. There's some stuff to mess around with the element swap saddles in this as well. And usually then area of effect farming stronger enemies, I would say. Like if you're gathering up the older NPCs just because of that burn effect. That's probably the kind of stuff you want to do with this one. So, not great against this hard mode Bjorn. It can be easy if you get this weapon a bit earlier. I guess it all depends now when you're leveling what legendary weapon you get earliest. I don't feel like I added a whole lot of damage. This is the same Knocklem build that solos hard mode Bjorn. So I guess I did pretty similar DPS to them if we got them down in like 5 minutes or something. So just Vampiric, Muscle Hetero Legend, Serenity, and Demon God. Then I did the same thing again, but using the Felbat build. Gonna see if I can out-heal him. So again, the 3 resistance rings. Like just seeing how low the attack bonus was from using those attack pendants, the +0 and +2. I'm just giving it a go, trying to see how it goes with using the resistance rings instead. It depends a little bit how much you want to dodge, how much you want to tank. But since the Flamethrower does slow you down quite a lot when shooting, I think like the net DPS gain from tanking a little bit more than dodging should be good. It depends a little bit how hard Bjorn is going to attack. Not perfect timing there on the roll. And like this, if you can line them up, I guess, you probably want to be hitting as many enemies as possible at the same time. Especially with the Felbat build, since you heal a lot more. If you can get them all grouped up around a pillar, it should be better. And here's another thing. I'm using Seed Mine. And I think you can see there that it was shooting for 800 damage during the root effect. So that also stacks. Getting them rooted and then using the Flamethrower gives you double damage during the root effect. Which isn't gonna be like a huge amount of time against hard mode Bjorn, since the fight is so long. But it should be like something to keep in mind if you're using the Flamethrower. Use grass attacks on your pal and you will deal double damage for a while. So that's probably if you're gonna use Flamethrower on the oil rig. Just throw like Circle Vine or a Seed Mine or Grass Tornado on your Felbat or Lavender. Whichever one you're using for this build. So here I'm just trying to shoot through the pillar. It looks like if you're standing close to the pillar, it won't work. And if you stand a little further away or aim along the floor, kinda, you will still hit. There you can see double damage again, around 900. And then it goes down to 400 again when the Seed Mine effect passes, when that rooted effect passes. So that's probably something you can also do if you're riding like a beacon. You could get them soaked for double damage on this. And then maybe the burn effect on top of that. So there is a little bit of stuff. I feel like this weapon is going to be a lot better against regular pals than against bosses. This probably has its like use there instead of during these boss fights. But I do want them to add more of these like element weapons. Could be something cool. Like right now we have the Flamethrower, then we have Poison and Fire Crossbow, dealing super effective on the initial hit, but that's not a huge amount of their damage. And this feels like just an improved Fire Crossbow. But they could add something like this, like a rail, I guess a railgun isn't exactly what I mean, but something that shoots like lightning bolts, I guess, and stuff like that. Get some more element stuff going. You can see, shooting through the pillar. So I guess you could cheese the fight by just standing behind a pillar and shooting all the time. Gonna try that a little bit more throughout this fight than the previous one. So I guess especially if you get good at like when to stop shooting and when to move around. But you can probably like zigzag through these pillars. And now he does have these skills that go through, like the bubble attack, these dark wisps, spirit fire, dark arrow, I think. No, dark arrow also gets blocked. So some of them, like the ice missile and stuff, gets blocked. But it's give and take as mentioned. If you're standing behind the pillar, you can't see what skill he's using until it suddenly appears through the pillar. These double blizzard spikes will go through the area of effect if you're hugging the pillar. So it can be a little bit tricky with standing behind. How we're doing on the timer? Not great. Not great. I feel like Knocklem was adding more damage than the Felbat though. Knocklem is very strong. But you are a bit safer when you're using the Felbat. Like, I am pretty much out healing him. I think you gotta dodge like Stone Beat and Dark Wisp. Especially Stone Beat since I'm not wearing a Ring of Resistance for ground. I got the Ice, the Dark, and the Water. I can tank some of this stuff, like a couple of Dark Balls and stuff like that, but don't want to tank Stone Beat. This seems to work pretty well, just using the pillars like this. He seems to get stuck every now and then, so you can probably just run between the pillars, but you do have to worry about the timer if you start running around too much. A little bit of that skill got blocked by the pillar. It can be a little bit tricky, I guess. And then Diamond Rain as well also hits a lot. I'm just testing how much I can out-heal his skills if I just don't stop shooting, which also seems to be fine. You probably don't want to tank that, like Double Blizzard or the Stone Beat, but all the other stuff you're probably fine to just tank and strafe around. Especially if you're wearing these rings and you got the healing from Felbat and everything. Quite a bit of health drop, but it heals back up. And then you can even add the healing medicine. You'll be very fine. Blocked. You can probably find some cheesy spots to stand where he just won't path all the way around to you. There he is. I guess this is quite a bit of oil. I'm not sure about like the oil to damage conversion. Maybe this is quite expensive. But yeah, that one doesn't work to interrupt anymore. This one you can roll at the last second, but I messed it up again. But that's fine when you... That's why we have the Felbat build. It doesn't matter if you mess up. You can just heal it all up again. So it's looking like around a 7-minute kill. You can see it taking quite a bit of damage from tanking the Dark Wisp. I'd say that is like the main skill to dodge. Dark Wisp and Stone Beat. Using the new photo mode. Very cool. Bastigor kind of drifting out of here. So yeah, the Flamethrower. Probably not the goal here to use it against the alpha bosses and tower bosses and stuff like that. Probably a lot better on the oil rig or when farming a bunch of pals at the same time. So one comparison with the Felbat build with Vanguard Gobfins and one without Gobfins on the Knocklems. So for now, thanks for watching.